Psycho-Cybernetics, a new way to get more living out of life by Maxwell Maltz. Picture this. A man shuffles into a plastic surgeon's office, shoulders hunched, eyes downcast. He spent his entire life convinced that his face is a curse, the secret saboteur behind every missed opportunity and broken dream. The surgeon works his magic, and when those bandages finally peel away, a transformed face stares back from the mirror. Our man walks out standing tall, suddenly brimming with confidence, ready to conquer the world. Beautiful, right? But here's where it gets weird. Another patient walks into that same office, carrying the same burden of shame, convinced her prominent feature has made her an outcast. The surgery? Flawless. By any objective measure, she's stunning. Yet when she gazes into that mirror, she sees only the ghost of her old self. She keeps her head down, still feels unwanted, still lives as though absolutely nothing has changed. This baffling mystery haunted Dr. Maxwell Maltz for years. Here was a man at the top of his profession in the mid-20th century, literally rebuilding human faces from scratch. He witnessed, time and again, how a physical transformation could catapult someone into an entirely new life. But what really captivated him were the puzzling failures, the patients for whom even the most brilliant surgery changed nothing at all. A question began gnawing at him. What if the face that truly controls our destiny isn't the one staring back at us from the mirror? What if there's an invisible face, a mental blueprint, hidden deep inside, pulling all the strings? This question launched him on an unexpected adventure, far beyond the sterile confines of his operating room. He dove into psychology, physics, and an exciting new field called cybernetics. What emerged from this journey became one of the most quietly influential self-improvement books ever written. Since its release in 1960, Psycho-Cybernetics has sold over 30 million copies and secretly shaped the work of nearly every major motivational teacher you've ever heard of, from Tony Robbins to Brian Tracy. What Maltz discovered is genuinely mind-blowing. Each of us has an automatic, goal-seeking machine built right into our minds. Once you give this machine a target, it can't help but move toward it. The catch? Most of us have been accidentally programming this incredible machine for failure since childhood, without even realizing it. Today we're going to unpack this remarkable discovery together. By the time we're done, you'll understand exactly how your inner mechanism operates, and more importantly, you'll have the keys to reprogram it for what it was designed to do all along: help you succeed. This isn't some fluffy, positive thinking nonsense. This is about understanding the actual mechanics of how you work, so you can finally become the person you've always had the potential to be. Dr. Maxwell Maltz wasn't some armchair philosopher. He was a hard-nosed scientist who dealt in flesh, bone, and real results. And for years, those results seemed almost magical. He watched a boy, once mocked as stupid because of his enormous ears, transform into a sharp business executive after one simple procedure. He saw hardened criminals with twisted, scarred faces become upstanding citizens once their disfigurements vanished. The scalpel seemed to be cutting away more than just skin. It was slicing through old identities, old failures, revealing someone completely new underneath. But the magic was frustratingly inconsistent. For every person who experienced a total rebirth, there was another who remained locked in their old prison, no matter how stunning their new appearance. The Duchess with the perfect nose who still acted like the ugly duckling. The patients who'd stare at their dramatic before and after photos and insist, genuinely puzzled, "I honestly don't see any difference." They couldn't see the change because, deep down where it mattered, nothing had shifted at all. This led Maltz to a groundbreaking realization. Every single person carries around a mental picture of themselves. He called it the self-image. Here's the kicker. This self-image isn't who you actually are. It's who you think you are. It's a blueprint, built unconsciously from every experience you've ever had. Your triumphs and your humiliations, your moments of glory and your crushing failures. It's shaped by how people reacted to you, especially during those formative childhood years when you were most vulnerable. Every belief you hold about yourself, every "I'm not good with numbers, I'm too shy, I'm unlucky in love, I always mess things up," is part of this invisible blueprint controlling your life. And here's Maltz's first critical discovery. All of your actions, feelings, and behaviors are always consistent with your self-image. Let that sink in for a moment. Your actions aren't just influenced by your self-image, they're governed by it, almost like a law of nature. You will literally act like the sort of person you believe yourself to be, and you cannot act otherwise, no matter how much willpower you throw at the problem. A student who sees himself as a straight F failure will find a way to fail, even if he studies his heart out. His self-image demands it. He has proof on every report card, which reinforces the image, creating this vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. A salesman who sees himself as a $5,000 a year man will, weirdly enough, always end up earning right around that amount. Give him an amazing territory, and he'll mysteriously slack off as he approaches his internal limit. Give him a terrible territory, and he'll work like a madman to hit that exact number. The self-image acts like a thermostat, constantly pulling him back to his preconceived limit. This is why all that positive thinking stuff so often crashes and burns. You can't just slap a motivational bumper sticker onto a broken-down car and expect it to run. Telling yourself, "I will be successful," while your inner blueprint screams, "I am fundamentally a failure," creates an internal war that willpower simply cannot win. The foundation itself has to change. But here's the hopeful part. Maltz's second crucial discovery: the self-image can absolutely be changed. You weren't born with your current self-image. You learned it, piece by piece, experience by experience. And just as you learn to be who you think you are, you can learn to be who you want to be. But how exactly do you do that? This question led Maltz straight into the fascinating world of cybernetics. The word cybernetics comes from an ancient Greek word meaning steersman, the person who guides a ship. It's the study of goal-seeking mechanisms. Imagine a torpedo. You program in a target. The torpedo surges forward, constantly gathering feedback from its environment. When it drifts off course to the left, it gets negative feedback and adjusts to the right. Too far, right? It corrects back to the left. It zigzags, constantly making tiny mistakes and correcting them, until it smashes into its target. It doesn't get discouraged. It doesn't beat itself up for being off course. It simply uses each error as valuable information to get back on track. Maltz had a revelation. The human brain and nervous system operate as a perfect servo mechanism. We have a built-in, incredibly sophisticated guidance system. He called it the success mechanism. Think about something as ridiculously simple as picking up a pencil from your desk. You don't consciously think, "Okay, now I need to contract my deltoid muscle precisely 15 degrees, extend my triceps exactly this much, and engage my flexor digitorum profundus." You just decide to pick it up. Your conscious mind selects the target, and then your automatic mechanism takes over completely. Your eyes provide continuous feedback on how far your hand is from the pencil. Your brain instantly accesses memories of the thousands of times you've picked things up before. Your hand moves, makes micro-corrections, and lands perfectly on the pencil. It's an absolute miracle of biological engineering, happening automatically, without you thinking about it at all. This success mechanism is working constantly, whether you're learning to ride a bike, catch a baseball, or solve a complicated business problem. It's completely impersonal, just like a machine. It doesn't have preferences or a will of its own. It simply processes whatever data you feed into it. Feed it success goals, and it functions brilliantly as a success mechanism. Feed it negative goals, worry, fear, and vivid images of failure, and it will function just as faithfully as a failure mechanism. So what's the target this mechanism is always shooting for? Your self-image. Your self-image sets the boundaries, the invisible walls, of what your automatic mechanism can possibly accomplish. It defines your area of the possible. If your self-image says you can't do something, Your automatic mechanism accepts that as absolute truth and makes it reality. If your self-image says you can, your mechanism immediately goes to work to find a way to make it happen. This is the beating heart of Psycho-Cybernetics. You have a conscious mind, which is the operator, and you have a machine, your brain and nervous system, which is your goal-seeking servant. The key to a dramatically better life is learning how to properly operate your machine. And the primary tool for operating this machine, your imagination. Maltz discovered something that modern psychologists have now proven again and again. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a real experience and an experience imagined vividly and in rich detail. Think about what happens when you worry. You're imagining a negative outcome, right? You picture it unfolding in your mind. You feel the anxiety building. Your heart rate might even increase. Your body is reacting as if this terrible thing is already happening right now. You're essentially using your imagination to practice failure. So Maltz asked a brilliant question. What if we deliberately used this same power to practice success instead? He pointed to a fascinating study with basketball players. One group practiced free throws physically every single day for 20 days. They improved by 24%. A second group did no practice at all and, unsurprisingly, showed zero improvement. But a third group spent 20 minutes a day simply imagining they were making free throws. They would mentally picture the ball leaving their hands, watch it arc beautifully through the air, and hear the satisfying swish as it sailed through the net. If they missed in their imagination, they would mentally correct their aim and try again. The jaw-dropping result? They improved by 23%. Almost exactly the same improvement as the group that physically practiced. Mental practice isn't just wishful thinking or New Age nonsense. When you vividly imagine an action, you're literally creating new neural pathways in your brain, the exact same pathways that would be forged by the actual physical experience. You're essentially creating synthetic experience, building a memory of success before it's even happened in real life. The legendary chess champion Alekhine prepared for his match against the supposedly unbeatable Capablanca by spending 3 entire months playing chess only in his mind. He was conditioning his success mechanism, building those neural pathways. When he finally sat down at the actual board, his brain already had successful patterns, locked and loaded, ready to fire. This is the first key to unlocking your real potential. Use your imagination deliberately and strategically. Spend time each day creating a detailed mental movie of yourself as you want to be. Don't just vaguely think, I want to be confident. Actually see yourself being confident in specific situations. Imagine yourself walking into a crowded room. See your posture in detail, head held high, shoulders relaxed and back. Hear the sound of your voice, calm and steady. Feel that handshake, firm and warm. Watch other people's faces light up, responding positively to your quiet confidence. Make the mental picture as detailed and sensory-rich as you possibly can. You're not trying to fool yourself or live in fantasy land. You're providing your automatic mechanism with a crystal-clear target, giving it a new blueprint to work from. But often, this isn't quite enough. Our old blueprint, our ancient self-image, is incredibly sticky. It feels deeply true because we've lived with it for so long. It's hypnotized us into believing its limitations are hard facts of reality. So the next crucial step, Maltz says, is to de-hypnotize yourself from these false beliefs. Remember Alfred Adler, the famous psychologist? As a young boy, he was absolutely terrible at arithmetic. His teacher bluntly told his parents he was, quote, dumb in math. His parents believed it, and Adler himself internalized and accepted it as truth. His failing grades seemed to prove it. He'd been hypnotized by a false belief. Then one day, the teacher scrawled a difficult problem on the board that stumped everyone in the class. Suddenly, in a flash of insight, Adler saw the answer. He walked up to the board, trembling while his classmates snickered, and solved it perfectly. In that single transformative moment, the hypnosis shattered. He realized the belief was completely false. He went on to become an excellent math student. Most of our limitations aren't limitations of actual fact. They're limitations of belief, built on shaky or non-existent evidence. We've been hypnotized by ideas like, "I'm not a creative person," "I'm just not disciplined," or "I'll never be wealthy." These are just words, repeated over and over until they solidify into what feels like unshakable truth. To break this spell, you need to use the power of rational thinking. Become a detective investigating your own beliefs. When a negative belief surfaces, something like, "I can't do this," pause and ask yourself, why? Why exactly do I believe I can't? Is this belief based on an actual, unchangeable fact of reality? Or is it based on an assumption, some old conclusion I jumped to after one or two failures? Is there any genuinely rational reason this belief should hold power over me today? Would I hold this same limiting belief about a friend in my exact situation? Often, just shining the harsh light of logic on these beliefs is enough to make them crumble into dust. You suddenly realize you've been letting your entire life be run by some offhand comment a teacher made 30 years ago, or a conclusion you drew from one failed attempt when you were an insecure teenager. You have to consciously and deliberately reject these irrational ideas. The great philosopher Bertrand Russell said that whenever a foolish or negative thought entered his mind, he would mentally, quote, "pull it up by the roots, examine it closely, and reject it." Don't just passively let these thoughts run wild through your head. Challenge them. See them for the imposters they really are. As you start challenging the old beliefs and imagining a new self, there's one more crucial ingredient to add to the mix: relaxation. Maltz was deeply influenced by Émile Coué, a French pharmacist who taught a simple but profound principle he called the law of reversed effort. When the will and the imagination are in conflict, the imagination invariably wins. Have you ever tried really, really hard to remember someone's name, straining with all your mental might, and had it completely escape you? You grit your teeth, you use every ounce of willpower, and nothing comes. Then you give up in frustration, relax, start thinking about something else entirely, and suddenly the name pops effortlessly into your head. That's the law of reversed effort in action. Conscious effort, that sense of trying too hard, actually jams up your automatic mechanism. It creates tension, anxiety, and excessive self-criticism. It's like a stutterer who becomes so hyper-focused on not making a mistake that he can barely speak at all. Your creative mechanism works best when you're genuinely relaxed, when you're not trying to force anything, when you give it a clear target and then simply trust it to do its work. Think about it. We form our most deeply ingrained habits, both good and bad, without any sense of strain or effort. They're learned naturally, in a relaxed state. Therefore, new beliefs and new habits must also be formed in a relaxed state if they're going to stick. Maltz recommends a daily practice of deep, physical relaxation. Find a quiet spot, lie down comfortably, and consciously release the tension in every muscle group, starting from your toes and working all the way up to your forehead. Then, once you're physically relaxed and your mind is quiet, begin the work of mental imaging. In this deeply relaxed state, your mind becomes far more receptive to new ideas. The new blueprint you're imagining can sink in more deeply, without triggering the usual resistance from your conscious, overthinking mind. This isn't about being passive or lazy in life. It's about being intelligently active. You do your conscious work, gathering information, analyzing situations, setting clear goals. But then, when it's time to actually perform, you need to learn to relax and let your success mechanism work for you. As the great psychologist William James put it, unclamp your intellectual and practical machinery and let it run free. As you put these pieces together, a clear, vivid mental image of your goal, the dehypnotizing of limiting old beliefs, and the regular practice of relaxation, something genuinely wonderful starts to happen. You begin to feel different. You start to naturally develop what Maltz calls the habit of happiness. Maltz saw happiness not as some reward you get after you succeed, but as the very fuel that powers success. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be." Happiness is ultimately a mental habit, a conscious decision to focus on pleasant thoughts, positive possibilities, and the good that exists in every moment, no matter how small or hidden. We're so often unhappy because of our automatic, knee-jerk reactions to petty annoyances: the driver who cuts you off in traffic, the friend who doesn't return your call, the unexpected rain on the day you planned a picnic. We interpret these completely impersonal events as personal attacks. We hand them the power to dictate our entire emotional state. We're acting like puppets, letting random external events yank our strings. The habit of happiness is the conscious decision to become the master, not the puppet. It's the liberating realization that events themselves don't disturb us. It's our opinion of events that disturbs us. You lost money in the stock market. That's just a fact. That you are now ruined and disgraced. That's merely an opinion, and you have the power to change your opinions. By actively practicing gratitude, by consciously choosing to focus on what's working instead of what's broken, you're creating the ideal emotional environment for your success mechanism to thrive. As the ancient proverb says, a merry heart truly does work like medicine, optimizing your entire system for peak performance. So what does this new personality, this success-oriented personality, actually look like in practice? Maltz provides a simple and memorable framework built from the word success itself. S is for sense of direction. A bicycle stays balanced only when it's moving forward, and so do we. We're fundamentally goal-striving creatures. When we have no meaningful goal, we feel lost, aimless, drifting. Successful people are always moving towards something that genuinely matters to them. They have what Maltz beautifully calls a nostalgia for the future, not the past. U is for understanding. This means communicating clearly and honestly, first with yourself, then with others. It means learning to separate hard facts from mere opinions. It means being willing to face the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, because only then can you respond appropriately and effectively. C is for courage. Not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite feeling afraid. Every single day requires small acts of courage: the courage to make a decision without perfect information, to risk making a mistake, to bet on your own ideas. Even a step in the wrong direction is better than standing completely still, because once you're moving, you can always correct your course. C is for charity. This means having genuine interest in and compassion for other people, recognizing that they too are unique individuals with their own struggles, dreams, and fears. Maltz observed a profound psychological truth: our feelings about ourselves tend to mirror our feelings about others. When you become more charitable and compassionate toward others, you invariably become more charitable toward yourself. E is for esteem, self-esteem. Holding a low opinion of yourself isn't humility or virtue. It's actually a vice that holds you back. It's the hidden root of jealousy, hostility, and chronic defensiveness. Real self-esteem isn't about your accomplishments or possessions. It's simply an appreciation of yourself for what you are, a unique creation with inherent, irreducible worth. S is for self-confidence. Real confidence is built on the memory of past successes, not fake affirmations. Successful people form the habit of vividly remembering their successes, while letting their failures fade into the background. You may have failed 99 times, but what truly matters is that one successful attempt. That's the one you remember, dwell on, and consciously reinforce. And finally, S is for self-acceptance. This might be the most important ingredient of all. You absolutely cannot build a healthy new self-image on a foundation of self-rejection and self-loathing. Self-acceptance means accepting yourself as you are right now, in this moment, with all your faults, weaknesses, and glaring imperfections. You are not your mistakes. You simply make mistakes sometimes. A violin that occasionally plays a sour note isn't a worthless violin. It just needs some tuning. Accept your actual self as the starting point, the vehicle you have for this journey, and stop hating it because it isn't already perfect. This is the blueprint of the success-type personality. But just as important, is recognizing the telltale signs of what Maltz calls the failure mechanism. He gave us another helpful acronym, FAILURE. Frustration, aggressiveness misdirected, insecurity, loneliness, uncertainty, resentment, and emptiness. These are your negative feedback signals, the warning lights flashing on your dashboard. When you feel them showing up, don't beat yourself up or spiral into self-condemnation. Simply recognize them for what they truly are. Helpful signposts telling you you've drifted off course. They're telling you that your goals might be unrealistic, your self-image needs adjustment, or you've forgotten to be your own best friend. They're signals to take immediate corrective action and re-engage your success mechanism. And what happens when you consistently practice these principles? When you make them habits, you start to experience what Maltz calls that winning feeling. It's that magical, almost inexplicable sense of certainty, that quiet inner confidence that you simply can't fail. The golfer Kerry Middlecoff described it as a feeling that, quote, every single move I made was absolutely perfect. Don Larson, still the only pitcher to throw a perfect game in World Series history, said he, quote, had this crazy feeling the night before that it was going to happen. This feeling isn't the cause of success, which is a crucial distinction. It's the symptom, the result. It's the thermometer reading telling you that your inner machinery is perfectly tuned and geared for success. It's the unmistakable sign that you've provided your automatic mechanism with a clear, positive goal, and it's now running free, guiding your every move with a precision that clumsy conscious effort could never match. The beautiful thing, you can learn to deliberately evoke this feeling. Reach back into your memory to a time when you succeeded at something, anything, no matter how small it might seem. Relive that moment in rich detail. Feel the satisfaction, the pride, the surge of confidence. Anchor that feeling deeply in your body. Then, bring that exact feeling with you as you vividly imagine your desired future success. You're borrowing the emotional power of past success to create the reality of future success, linking them together in your nervous system, creating a powerful chain of positive association. Ultimately, what Maxwell Maltz gave us is far more than just a collection of clever techniques. He gave us an entirely new way of seeing ourselves. He showed us, with both scientific rigor and compassionate understanding, that we're not helpless victims of our past, but the potential architects of our future. That within each of us lives a powerful, silent, and completely obedient servant, patiently waiting for clear instructions. The old recordings of failure and limitation can be changed. The old emotional scars can genuinely heal. By understanding the fundamental principles of your own inner cybernetics, you can finally stop fighting yourself and start working with yourself. You can unlock the real personality that's been waiting inside you all along, sometimes for decades. You can give yourself not just a surgically altered face, but an entirely new life. And in doing so, you'll discover something wonderful. You already have, right now in this moment, everything you truly need to become the person you were always meant to be. It's genuinely remarkable to think that Psycho-Cybernetics was written over 6 decades ago. In our current world, absolutely saturated with self-help books, productivity hacks, morning routine gurus, and life coaches of every imaginable variety, Maltz's work feels less like just another entry in the crowded genre, and more like the foundational text that the entire industry was secretly built upon. What makes it so incredibly enduring? I believe it's because Maltz wasn't just another philosopher spinning theories in an ivory tower. He was a practicing surgeon, a scientist who grounded every psychological insight in the tangible, observable mechanics of how we, as biological machines, actually operate in the real world. His central metaphor, the human being as a goal-seeking servo mechanism, is genuinely brilliant because it completely demystifies the whole process of self-improvement. It takes it out of the fuzzy realm of vague, wishy-washy positive thinking and places it firmly into a practical, almost engineering-like framework. If your life isn't going where you desperately want it to go, the problem isn't that you're fundamentally flawed or hopelessly broken. The problem is simply that your guidance system has been locked onto the wrong target, probably for years. The solution, then, isn't to whip yourself into shape with brutal willpower and self-punishment, but to simply, calmly, and deliberately provide your inner mechanism with a new, better target to aim for. This is a profoundly empowering and deeply compassionate idea. It creates a healthy separation between you, the conscious, creative operator with unlimited potential, and your current behavior, which is simply the output of a machine running old programming. This separation is absolutely key to genuine self-acceptance. You are not your failures. You're the one who can learn valuable lessons from them. You are not your frustrating bad habits. You're the one who has the power to reprogram them. Perhaps the most powerful lesson embedded in this entire book is the deep understanding of how imagination actually works at a neurological level. The scientifically proven idea that your nervous system genuinely can't tell the difference between a real experience and an experience imagined vividly and in rich detail is like discovering a superpower that's been hiding in plain sight your entire life. It means you can literally practice success in your mind. It means you can build the neural pathways for confidence, skill, grace, and poise in the quiet privacy of your own thoughts, long before you ever step onto the actual field of life. This isn't fantasy or delusion. It's a form of highly targeted mental rehearsal that elite athletes, accomplished actors, top surgeons, and peak performers in absolutely every field use consistently to achieve excellence. If you take only one thing away from our time together today, let it be this simple but life-changing truth. Your self-image is the central, hidden key to your entire life. It's the silent governor quietly determining the heights you can possibly reach. And you genuinely have the power to change it. Not magically overnight, with a single revelation, not with some secret trick, but through the steady, patient, compassionate application of these proven principles. So here's a simple, concrete action you can take starting right now, today. For just the next 21 days, the amount of time Maltz observed it typically takes for an old mental image to begin dissolving and a new one to start solidifying. Try this experiment. Each morning, before the chaos of the day begins, spend just 5 quiet minutes in a comfortable chair. For the first 2 minutes, practice simple, deep relaxation. Just consciously let go of tension, one muscle group at a time. Then, for the next 3 minutes, create a vivid, detailed mental picture of the person you want to be for that specific day. Not for the rest of your life, which can feel overwhelming, just for today. See yourself moving through your day with a little more confidence, a touch more cheerfulness, a bit more courage in small moments. Feel how that would actually feel in your body. Don't force it or strain. Just play with the idea gently. Give your success mechanism its clear target for the day, and then let it go, trusting it to do its work beneath your conscious awareness. That's it. It's a remarkably small step, almost deceptively simple. But it's in these small, consistent, daily course corrections that the entire trajectory of a human life can be fundamentally transformed. That was a summary of Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. We've touched on the core ideas today, explored the main principles, but I need to be completely honest with you. A summary, no matter how thorough, can only guide you to the door and show you it exists. The real lasting transformation happens when you walk through it yourself, by reading the actual book. It's in those quiet moments of personal reflection, when one of Maltz's stories or even a simple phrase suddenly connects with your own unique life experience in a way you didn't expect, that the magic really happens. This summary is your map, showing you the territory exists and pointing you in the right direction. But the book itself is the actual journey, the lived experience. If anything we've talked about today has sparked something in you, even a small flicker of curiosity or recognition, I genuinely encourage you to grab a copy and read it yourself. Reading it isn't just about passively absorbing new information. It's an active experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself, and, as a natural result, transform the world you live in. Also, if you found this summary valuable, engaging, or helpful in any way, I'd be genuinely grateful if you'd take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That simple action helps more people discover these ideas and ensures you won't miss our next deep exploration into another, potentially life-changing book. Let's keep learning, growing, and evolving together.